even illness becomes wellness. Wellness is best described as the constant, conscious pursuit of living life to its fullest. As popularly known, Miss Vandana Luthra is known as the Lady of Transformation. She reached out to the masses and established VLCC as the status symbol for the upper class women today. She reinforced the ideas of women power and that nothing is impossible. VLCC is one of the largest and best known slimming, beauty and wellness brands, and its presence spans over 300 locations in 121 cities across 16 countries in Asia. Today we have with us a representative from this prestigious institution, Mr. Sandeep Ahuja. Mr. Ahuja was responsible for VLCC's foray in international markets based out of Dubai and earlier led the group's subsidiary that manufactures and markets personal care products. He has wide and varied experience of over 2 decades that covers marketing, brand communications, new market development, and profit center management. Besides, he is a member of the Mentor Council for the Beauty and Wellness segment for National Council for Vocational Training Courses. I now invite Mr. Sandeep Ahuja to share his knowledge with us.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I must sort of confess that I actually came prepared for another subject to do with franchising, but it seems that there's been some change in the schedule. So I'm going to be ad-libbing a bit here, so please do humor me on this and bear with me. When it comes to addressing the capacity gap, I think I must compliment Dr. Singh for having given the comprehensive background on the Sector Skills Council for Healthcare. What I represent here today, I'd like to think, is on the preventive healthcare side of the overall healthcare domain. And that's where I'd like to just give you a quick background on what the current scenario is. Wellness as a concept has been gaining consciousness both in industry and consumers at large for the last several years now. And just to give you a background, we as the Wellness Committee of FICCI, we had 5 years ago realized that there is this industry which is likely to grow with leaps and bounds in the coming years. And fast forwarding to today, we are happy to report that prediction has come true. The wellness industry, as per the latest report of PwC, which was commissioned by FICCI, says that it is a 7 billion rupee industry, which currently is growing at the rate of something like between, depending on various parts of the industry, growing at the rate of between 18 to 25% year on year. So that gives you some idea of how, for example, between 5 years and now, parts of that industry has nearly doubled. And these are large figures. And when you look at the industry in terms of its size, the obvious question that you ask is, if this industry is growing at the pace at which it is, who's going to be there to deliver the services that are required by the consumer in increasing numbers? And that's where the current challenge lies, as somewhat in the curative healthcare sector. With the fast pace of growth, are we going to be able to train enough people quickly enough? And I must say, today, for me personally and for my colleagues in the industry at large, this is a focus area and a focus area of huge concern. But I'm also happy to report that this focus area is being, to my mind, addressed very, very aggressively. Akin to the Healthcare Sector Skills Council set up by CII, there is also a Sector Skill Council for Wellness Industry that has been set up by CII, which VLCC is chairing. And I must compliment you, Dr. Singh, that you have done great progress on this, but unfortunately, we guys have just started. The Sector Skill Council came into, in fact, it's still work in progress in the sense that we've yet to register the society and so on, but all approvals from NSDC and so on have come. Also, we have commissioned KPMG to do a deep dive into the skill gap within the wellness sector, and that final report, I'm happy to share, will be released during the course of the coming week. But not to preempt the content of the report, but just to give you a few key highlights. One of the highlights is that it is estimated that by 2017 there will be a shortage of over 750,000 people within the industry if the industry continues to grow at the base at which it is currently. So where will these 750,000 people come from? And that's one of the reasons that the Sector Skills Councils have been set up. That's also one of the reasons that, that the Government of India is working very closely with the private sector to plug the gap. I don't know how many of you are aware, but there is an arm of the Ministry of Labour called the DGET, which is the Directorate General Employment and Training. It has done in recent months some remarkably good work in creating things like the Mentor Council for the wellness industry, where they have invited over 20 participants from the private sector and given them a time-bound task to develop, akin to what the Sector Skill Council for Healthcare is doing, a NOS for various, which is the occupational standards for various participants of the service delivery mechanism in the wellness sector. And the first NOS will be adopted during the course of this month itself. The Mentor Council has over the last 6 months worked with over 1,000 or 1,100 people to develop the standards. Not only develop those standards, but also develop the syllabi that go with those standards if training institutes do choose to take up the program of training wellness professionals. So effectively what we are moving towards is a regimen where professions that were traditionally seen as not careers of choice, but people got into those professions because of lack of any other alternative. This now will be a step towards ensuring that people consciously take up these professions because there is a set curriculum, there is a recognized certification at the end of that course, and also there is a mechanism through which there is a high degree of likelihood that the individual carrying that certificate, unlike a graduate degree, is assured of a job because of the sheer gap in